Give me a minute. So the Moscow Victory Day parade is well underway. We're about almost an hour in since Putin and Xi ascended the dais. And we've seen what you would expect, lots of men in uniform marching by, proudly, red-faced generals saluting the bandstands, and the young men looking up. Now, we are all waiting to see what will happen. Here are some facts. Xi specifically asked Kyiv as a favor through diplomatic channels not to hit the parade. The parade is a flashpoint for problems if things go wrong, if civilians are injured or visiting dignitaries are. So it would be a significant risk to hit the parade. And Ukraine spent last week demonstrating that they could. This is what's important. They spent last week hitting Moscow and beyond the environs of Moscow. So if Ukraine wanted to hit the parade, they can, and everybody knows it. The Russians know it so much that they got Xi to ask Kyiv for a favor, and they ringed the place in electronic warfare equipment, air defense systems, etc. Now, if you follow this channel, you know all that. Here's what you may not be aware of. Last night, President Trump called, or rather had a call with, I don't know who initiated it, had a call with Zelensky. Now, this is very interesting because another fact has recently emerged. The White House's stance on Ukraine seems to be shifting away from an outright appeasement of Moscow. Now, look, you know as well as I do that as far as I'm concerned, Trump is bought and paid for by the Russians. But he's not making any progress with old Vlad, and there's lots of voices at home telling him he's wrong and he better do something. So he's got to make it at least look like he's doing something. So what did he say to Zelensky last night? Let's take a look at some of the statements that the administration has made recently. J.D. Vance has just said Moscow is asking for too much. No shit, Sherlock. They're asking for the maximalist gains of their failed war. And they expect America to hand Ukraine to them on a silver platter. And you've gone along with it right up until now. Making life difficult for everyone. Do you own a suit? Get the fuck out of here. Now, what else do we know? Pete Hegseth, the embattled Secretary of Defense, is being scapegoated by the Trump administration. The political pressure to get rid of this idiot is so much that they have manufactured a new crisis. Get this, President Trump never stopped arms shipments to Ukraine. He never knew about it. He had no knowledge that that had even happened because Pete Hegseth did it on his own and did not inform the president. Now, anybody who believes for 1 second that Pete Hegseth, a Fox weekend TV host, unilaterally stopped arms shipments to Ukraine in the midst of the biggest war in Europe since World War II, and Trump didn't know about it, is either confessing that the Trump administration is completely incompetent and Donald Trump doesn't know what's going on, the country's being run by other people, or you have to acknowledge that Donald Trump is lying and that it was all him, but he's got plausible deniability because he's got this idiot Hegseth to throw under the bus. Because now he can fire Hegseth, deal with that problem within his own party, and he can say, I never stopped weapons shipments to Ukraine. I didn't know it happened. I didn't. If I had known it happened, if I had known for 1 second what was going on, I'd have put a stop to it right then. Yeah. But now he can say that. Will he do anything about it is the question. We've seen him extort Kyiv before. That was the basis of his first impeachment, the extortion of Ukraine. We've seen him extort Ukraine over the minerals deal, over weapons sales and shipments, blowing off $50 billion in U.S. weapons sales in a crashing economy rather than sell Ukraine some patriots. So I don't have any faith in the Donald. But he does have some cards. In that call last night to Zelensky, could he have said something like, Volodymyr, do me a favor. Let Vlad have his parade. And then we'll see. We'll see about getting you some weapons. Because he also tweeted out yesterday, President Trump truthed out, right? Like that, if you have to name your social media platform Truth and your tweets are truths, I think immediately you don't know what the fuck truth is. Like right off the bat. He also truthed out yesterday that he's calling for a 30-day ceasefire, and whoever breaks the ceasefire is going to have a problem. Well, by noon yesterday, we had 734 documented breaches of the self-declared ceasefire by Putin of the Russian forces. But we didn't see any scaled attacks in Russia. There were reconnaissance drones that flew to Russia, but not attack drones. Ukraine has scoped everything out. We've all been waiting to see what they would do today. But under this combined pressure from Xi and the White House, along with maybe this vague promise of something from the United States, maybe the best thing that Ukraine could do today is nothing. Because then Trump is in a situation where he said, he who breaks the ceasefire is the one I'm going to have a problem with. Well, if Ukraine can say that even though they never agreed to the ceasefire, they agreed to a 30-day ceasefire and would only respond to Russian aggression during this time, just maybe, because Zelensky's playing the long game. He's smart. He knows what this country needs. It doesn't need a fiasco or even drawing more attention to Putin and his parade of pariahs. What it needs is weapons to finish this thing. So as anxious as we all are to have something happen today, as I've been saying all along, we have to trust the Ukrainians to do what is in their best interest. And increasingly, after that Trump phone call last night and that truth yesterday, and this thing with Hegseth, increasingly I am convinced that maybe the best thing they could do today is nothing. And we should support them in that. The Kersh Bridge will come down. Don't worry about it. It's fine for now. Thanks.